Welcome to another show of Don't Get This Twisted. I am Rob, along with my co-host, as always, Tina. How are you doing, Tina?
I'm good, Rob. I had a really good time the other day doing our last recording of our podcast with the comedian, Big Adrian Lopez.
Yes, it was quite interesting and a good old laughable time.
Oh, man. You guys were too much. And then even off camera, or off the recording, you guys were fun. We need to do that again. That was a really good episode. And for those of you that didn't listen to, you should tune into that episode with Big Adrian Lopez on Laugh Big. He is funny, and he's got a couple dates coming up, and you might want to go check him out. He's going to be May 29th at Costa Mesa Milano Club, and on June 25th at Fountain Valley Milano Club. If you want to check him out, you should go to Laugh Big on Facebook or Instagram at Big Daddy L714. But definitely check it out, Big Adrian Lopez.
Yes, and that will be episode 39. So if you're looking it up on all of our different places to listen, that's the number.
It was so much fun because it was just a lighthearted conversation and funny, and he's a kick. You guys together were really funny. I liked listening to the two of you.
Yeah, I think off air we were even more.
Yeah.
I think the next time we'll have him on, we'll definitely be able to push the envelope a little more now that we know each other and we know what we can kind of get away with.
Yeah, and thankful he said he would come on again. He really enjoyed being with us. So
yeah, I think that we're if we bring him on, we can bring him on with different subjects, not having to just talk about himself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Although he didn't do too bad with that. I'm kidding.
No, not at all.
He's
not
hilarious. Yeah, good time.
Thankfully, we gave him a little rope so he could hang himself with it.
It was fun. So much fun. But tonight we have an interesting episode.
Yes, an interesting episode. We're going to talk about when you fall for a friend, because I think those are interesting times. I've been down that road, and I know other people who have, and I think it's one of those things where you have to tread lightly because, when they're such a good friend, you just never know where that's going to kind of lead. It can lead to a really bad situation, or it can maybe lead to something different.
I don't know if you really need to tread lightly. If they're your friend and you want to try something more, you should be able to get back to that friendship, I think. I mean,
obviously,
friend, you should be able to get there.
I guess it all matters, like what happens during that relationship.
Well,
because look, there's reasons to cut ties with people, and then there's reasons not to. I guess it really all matters how that goes. Because I've known people who ended up getting with friends through other friends. So they were all in like a little clique together, and it was like this guy came with a friend of mine, or he came with me, and she came with another friend of hers, and nobody knew her except they knew my friend. And then they ended up together, and it turned into this really, it was great in the beginning.
Isn't it
yeah, and then not so much. It kind of went south, and then it becomes a very interesting thing when you're hanging out, because the other girl was someone that I was hanging out with or dating. So it became like, well, you can't bring him and you can't bring her if we're going to do this.
Yeah.
So you really kind of have to be careful with that as well, because you start messing around with much bigger friendships and much, all these different components where, you never know. So I think that those are things.
Yeah.
So,
I think it's a risk anyway. When you start dating anyone, it's always a risk, no matter what you do. You could date somebody and learn everything there is to learn about them, or you could just be cool, sit around with them and get to know them as you get to know them. But nonetheless, like, if you're dating somebody, and it doesn't matter who it is, all that has to just kind of wash out. You don't, even if it is a friend, you still need to treat it like it's a new relationship, and nobody knows how it's going to end up.
No, that's true. I just think that, and it all matters. Like, it all matters how many years as well. I mean, if you've been friends for 2 years or 3 years, yes, I think that there's something that you don't have to worry much about, because you're right. You're still dating, because that you really don't know that person. At our age, you might end up dating somebody that you've known for 20 years. And that friendship might be very, very much a friendship, and taking it to another level could have massive repercussions.
But
at least
really,
that's what I think.
Should it if you're friends? I don't know. Like,
I mean, no, it shouldn't.
I give my friends a lot more leeway than I give somebody that's just barely coming into the picture, because I know them. I know where they're.
Yeah,
where they're at.
No, I think that is a good point, because you might have heard things from them about other relationships. So you kind of have the inside track.
Or seen it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I never thought about it that way. Yeah, you do. You kind of have the inside track, and you kind of know that if you're getting damaged goods, you kind of already know it.
You should totally know it. If they're your friend, like, come on. Especially after 20 years. 20 years is a long time.
Yeah. And we're generally who we are. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm not saying that you can't change, because I'm not a proponent of that, saying that, oh, you can't change. It's like, I disagree with that. I think we change for who we want.
I think every person kind of influences growth in your life. And so it's inevitable that things are going to not stay the same. Certain people bring out certain characteristics in all of us. And when you're dating them, that's going to be intensified.
Yeah. Ooh, excuse me.
Am I boring you, Rob?
No, I just, jet lag. I'm still trying to get past that. No, but I agree. I don't mean change as in, look, we're all willing to go an extra mile for the person that we think it's right for. Mm-hmm. And I don't mean change overly, because then you're just not being yourself.
Right.
And I think that there's danger in that as well. Like, you can't not be you. Mm-hmm. I just think that each side has to kind of look at the reality of, with any relationship, but I think on something that's much larger, like friends that you've been friends with for years, you have to look at the shittiest thing there is, and are you willing to be okay with that?
Well,
and I think that's with any relationship, but I think this, because again, like, we're not going to change. Like, we are who we are, and you either like us for who we are, or again, you might be better off just friends. But I think that you definitely have to try that. If look, we both know that, this person, and you're like, yeah, and this, and this about him. And you're like, well, and it's not, it shouldn't be like, well, I'll be okay with that. It's like, no, that's who they are, and I love them either way. Mm-hmm. And I won't overlook it, but I have to understand that that's who they are. Mm-hmm. Because we all have that. And like I said, as you get older, I think there's much more that comes with that. I mean, to me,
everybody's got a past by our age, nobody's perfect. Like I remembered when I was a teenager and dating, and it was all about somebody being perfect and how, it would meet this certain criteria, this person would. And now that I'm older and dating again, the criteria is so different. And the criteria is just, do I get along with you? Or are we going to have a good time? Like, what did you say? Hurt me?
No. Do you have a heartbeat?
Oh, do you have a heartbeat? I thought you said hurt me. I'm like, whoa, you're taking this somewhere else.
It's like the first thing you do is you walk up and put your fingers on their neck to see if there's a pulse. Okay. We're halfway there.
If I got to question that, I don't need to be there. But no, I just feel like as we get older, I think your criteria or what you're looking for or what you need in your life is way different than it was when you're younger. And if you've known somebody for that whole time, by this point, you should be able to just deal with it. Everybody's got a past. Yeah.
There's a, have you ever seen the play Rent or the musical? Mm-hmm. There's a great line in that. And I think that every single person who listens to this should take these words to heart. There's a line in that says, I'm only looking for baggage that matches mine. Because we all have a shit ton of baggage. It's okay. I'm just looking for a matching set. You know what I mean? Like, you can bring it along with you. Just understand that we all have it. And some of it's worth fighting for or worth going forward with. So I just think that, it's a touchy subject because obviously there's a lot to lose, I think, or you could, potentially lose a friend if it goes sideways. Now, hopefully you're in a place with this person that you can go and say, look, I'm willing to do this, and this because I know that it's worth something long run. Or again, it's better off saying, look, we may be better friends. But I also think that there has to be some time put into that. If you stumble a couple of times and they're like, I can't do this. I think you have to be careful with that because we're also in a place where regret is a scary thing. I do my best these days to not regret anything. Like,
I don't know. For me, it's like I want to make all the mistakes I'm going to make in my life because at the end of my life, if I'm sitting on my deathbed, it's what I'm going to regret is what I didn't do, what I didn't try, what I didn't even to see your failures. I think that's what living is. The regret shit, I say, jump off the bridge, just do it, figure it out. Like,
yeah. Well, and again, that's kind of what I'm saying. Like, I don't want to live with regret anymore because I think I regret. I take that. Let me rephrase that. I don't regret things, but I look back on things I didn't do and kind of go,
yes,
I kind of missed that, and I missed this, and I missed that. I wouldn't say I regret it because I think where I'm at here right now is for a reason. And that means chasing this girl and doing this with this one and not doing this one and getting married and getting divorced and moving to this place and then moving to this place, whatever. All these little steps have still cemented me into where I'm at right now. And where I'm at is where I'm supposed to be.
Exactly.
But I definitely think that I'm not going to be that person who goes, maybe I shouldn't do this. Because for a long, long time, teen, I sat back and was like, yeah, I can't do that. No, I can't do that because I don't want to fuck this up, or I don't want to do this, or, this. And it's like, no, I mean, I picked up my life after my divorce and was like, boom, moved to Vegas. Like,
you did,
literally, and to the point where my ex-wife got mad at me. She was like, you were never willing to do this before, and now you're willing to. It's like, yeah, I mean, You do live and learn. I think we all live and learn. Then I moved and I lived in Camarillo, and I did that for 8 years. Great time, great roommate. When it was time to move again, though, it was time to move for different reasons. Mm-hmm. Like, it was just time for me to be my own man again and kind of do whatever I'm doing. So, but I'm also at a time now where I'm like, yeah, fuck it. I'll just pick up all my shit and move again. Because what's the worst thing that can happen?
You have to come back. That's it.
Yeah. It's start over again. It's like, I've started over a bunch of times, and I've lived by myself a bunch of times. So living by myself is also not a big deal to me. So I think that it's worth those things of maybe jumping in the ring with an old friend to try to make something romantic, because I think that those things are worth kind of going, look, I could get on the freeway tomorrow and die in a car accident. And that's just reality. I mean, it was funny when I took my trip flying home from Atlanta, there was this crazy bitch on the airplane. And I say that with the utmost respect for bitches.
For crazy bitches.
For crazy bitches. But she was like, I had my head up against the window, kind of closing my eyes. And she was just like, actually, it wasn't from Atlanta. It was going to Atlanta. Anyway. But she's just like, oh, he's already sleeping. And blah, blah. And I was just like, and there's this huge dude sitting next to me. And I kind of lean over to him, and I'm like, I hope she shuts the fuck up. and then I start reaching in my pocket, and I pull out my earpods, and the guy looks over at me and he goes, that's the best choice you've made today. I go, yeah, isn't it? So he looks through this bag. He has like a backpack in front of him, and I see him, and he pulls out headphones, and both of us put these things on. But before that happened, I heard she must have been complaining. She was like nervous. She's like, I got to hold someone's hand, blah, blah, blah. And a guy behind him goes, hey, don't worry about it. He goes, you're more likely to die in a car wreck than an airplane crash. And I was like, he's right, because you are. The odds are.
But I don't really think that helps a person when they're in that situation.
No, me either. Me either. But like in my own head, I was just more like, I mean, he's got a point. Like, you're really kind of like not going to die. Like it's really, and if you do, you're one of the, one in a, I forgot what the odds are, but it's very high.
It's high. Yeah.
So to me, I kind of think that thing
high,
too, like
low. It's very low.
They're very low to die in a plane crash, but very high to die in a car accident because we're in a car more. Totally makes sense. So to me, those are the things that I kind of think about now, where I'm just like, sometimes you just got to say, what the fuck?
Sometimes, like, seriously, pretty much almost all the time.
Pretty much all the time.
Yeah. The reason I say that is because my whole life is like, fuck, what are we going to do? Okay, let's just do it anyway. I
think you're kind of in that ballpark. You know what I mean? Where, like, what would you do? Do you think you would date an old friend?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering
because I like
a high school friend.
I don't
like an old friend. Like, I'm not talking like a friend from 5 years ago. I'm talking somebody that literally 20 years ago.
I would date. I have
30 years ago.
several male friends from way back, and there's several that are, we get along so well and everything. If they wanted to date, I'd check it out. I don't necessarily know if we would go long term. I mean, I don't know.
But that's not the point.
Why not? Yeah, absolutely. There was a guy that had a thing for me way back when, I don't know, I was like 17, 18 years old. I mean, he was so annoying trying to get me to date him that I was like, please just stop already. And we have dated since my breakup. We dated a bit, and some of the best times that I had being single, because, he was my friend and he knew me, and we got to talk about old things and new things. And yeah, I don't think that we're not going to date anything to be together because of distance. But, Yeah, I had a really good time, and it didn't mess up our friendship. If anything, I think it made it stronger. We have a really good appreciation for each other. It wasn't a problem. Distance is a problem. Different lifestyles is a problem,
Yeah. Well, I think that as well. Like, I mean, I don't know if it'll be out before this show, but we did one on long distance relationships as well. And obviously you were like, oh, I can't do that shit because that's just not who you are. And I think long term
from this already, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and like mine was more, I could do long distance on a short term with a goal,
Yeah.
Cause I kind of talked about it on there. It's like, at some point you have to say, are you in?
Mm-hmm. I agree.
If you're in, then once you say you're in, there's an end game.
Yeah.
And I think that's the important part. And yeah, I don't think I could do a long distance relationship within the same state. That would bother me because
Wouldn't that be easier though? Because you could get to them quicker.
No, but then there's probably less of an end game. Because like once you live that life of like, oh, they live an hour and a half away, that's just how we live. You may never get to a more serious relationship because you're both okay living an hour and a half away from each other.
I wouldn't be okay with that either.
So what I'm saying is, but if you live 6 hours away or 5 hours away from each other by an airplane and you only get to see each other every 3 months, you're looking for an end game. It's either, one of you are moving at some point to make it work. So I think it's easier to have a long distance relationship with a goal than having a long distance relationship when you're only an hour and a half away and you make your plans around that, but you're less likely to have this bigger goal, I think. At least that's how I see it.
I don't know. I don't know because I wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
You could.
But you know that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. For sure. I mean,
and I think that's positive.
I did like though when my ex traveled and he would be gone 2-3 weeks at a time and I didn't see him, and then he came home because we would start to get stagnant or things would just start to bother us about each other, and then he would leave for a while and we'd forget how we were aggravated,
stagnant,
and then things would be better. We'd come at each other from a different perspective, and kind of the old crap just kind of washed away because of time, because we weren't constantly bugging each other. And so that part that I like, that I don't mind. But I don't want to date anybody long distance.
Yeah, I think the separation, when you have separation like that, I think you get more of the reason why you're together. Right. If you have these separation periods, when they come back, you're like, oh, this is why I love the shit out of you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And that's actually a really good feeling. I used to really enjoy the return, when he would come home and I'd get to see him, and it was like, oh, I missed my friend, and I actually felt like that again. It wasn't like, God, this guy's got to get out of this house before I fucking kill him. Like, I don't know. We had this routine, like right before he'd go, it seemed like there was a blow up, but the blow up was getting ready for him to leave. And then the aggravation and tension would be so much. We had to have a release of it by an argument. And then, after it was over, we had time to cool down and everything was back to normal. It was, that worked, but that's a trip. That's not a lifestyle.
Right. And I think that's why, like, let's say, for me, like, you have to have separate lives to a degree, and you have to have separate places to a degree. Like, you've seen a picture of my Batman setup here, like having my desk and being able to come in and edit pictures or edit shows or do things for the show. I have to have that escape, but I do want my best friend when we do things together, and every night you're sitting by the TV or you're doing this or you're doing that. Like, to me, that's important. And I think when I was younger, I had a different vision of what I wanted in a relationship. You know, now I want a best friend.
Yeah.
I want a best friend. I want somebody that I can literally sit next to and just put my hand on their leg and they can put their head on my shoulder. And if you both fall asleep on the couch and when you wake up, you're like, oh, okay, we have to go to real bed now and do your thing. Mm-hmm. I'm looking for that because I think that's an important thing as you get older. Like, I want somebody I can talk to. Whether you agree all the time is kind of an irrelevant thing either, because you're not always going to agree, because like good relationships, you know, you don't have to be the same. You just have to understand you have to understand you're both different and be okay with them being different. I'm not always going to agree with my significant other or my best friend. I'm just not.
But you should at least be complimentary.
No, I agree. Well, I think that those are the things that bring you together in the first place. Mm-hmm. Like, if you're best friends or you're that tight of friends, there's a reason you're friends, because you can generally talk with each other. You can basically be honest. Don't wear a mask, do this. And you understand that, like, this person's bonkers as shit, but I love them to death anyway. I think those are the important things, or at least it is for me. You know, I see things that way. And again, now that I'm older, I obviously see what I want differently. Mm-hmm. But, you know, it's hard because they are your friend. And to make that leap, it's a scary thing. Like, because you can always say, no matter what, we'll be friends. And that sounds great on paper. It really does. But I'll tell you, there's people that I don't speak to anymore after a relationship.
Obviously. But if I feel that a relationship that you break up with the person, if you're not constantly working to make that friendship work, it's going to fade. It's not going to stay the same.
Sure.
You know, you're supposed to be able to move on. Sometimes, like if you have kids or, you know, you got family things or whatever, and you're still intermingled, you have to work on that relationship. You can't not work on them. And you got to kind of work on them with a lot of patience, because it's not easy to keep that sort of relationship together. It's just not.
For sure. So. I mean, I think that's a, you know, marriage and kids is a whole other thing. Once you're married, or you have a certain kind of relationship. And then if you're married and have a child, it's a more difficult relationship. It's Absolutely. Like blinders on.
Yeah.
So even though you're not with them romantically, or, you know, you have a bond in that child, or you have a bond in that marriage. And, you know, you can walk away from a marriage, I think, with no children and still, you know, be friendly, but not in their life. It'll be more like that if you run past somebody, you're like, oh, hey, you know, how's your new husband? How's your new life?
Oh, that's got to be a weird
It's hard.
feeling.
I'll tell you, because I did it. I've already done it. I mean, I told you the one time I got ordained as a minister to marry my younger daughter off. So here I am. I'm up at the front. My stepdaughter is in front of me. My son is in the wedding party for the groom. Okay. I look down. It's my ex-wife with her current husband and her first husband sitting next to her, and her second husband doing the service. It was like fucking Jerry Springer. I remember just kind of standing up there going, what the fuck am I doing? But at the end of the day, it's like, I don't have any resentment towards my ex-wife. Mm-hmm. So I was okay with it. Her current husband's cool. Her first husband's cool. Actually had, you know, so, and my daughter was there, and it was her day anyway. So for me, I stepped back for a second, but I remember going to my son, you know, in the, during the, party, the reception, and we were kind of standing in the back, and I just kind of leaned over to him and I was like, can you believe what's going on here right now? and even he was like, no, but Let's just have fun. And I was like, yeah, that's a good point. And then here's the craziest part. I caught the garter. Then she had a second one that she had 2 garters on. I caught the first one and my son caught the second one. Both of us caught them. And I was like, so I guess we're getting married.
Not. That didn't happen.
No, well, not yet, but that doesn't mean it's not gonna. But yeah, so like to me, it's being friends with somebody. You can be friends after a relationship, but there's always that arm's distance, I think. But if it's a best friend or someone who's really, really close, it's like, it's hard for me to look at it that way because I would hate to lose my best friend. But I would also hate to not have that chance to see if there's more.
But again,
because I know if
it's your best friend, get over whatever the fuck is the problem and be friends. Like,
no, I agree.
That to me is like, I have a hard time with that because I feel like my best friends should be my best friends regardless of whether we have slept together or we're going to sleep together or could in the future. Like that shouldn't be the deciding factor of whether or not we could be friends.
No, I agree. I just think that, there's always that line in the sand. You know what I mean? It's kind of like sleeping with somebody who's at your work. The whole part is, don't shit where you eat. So, I agree. And I think that there's something about that with a best friend. It's like, once you cross that line of like, hey, I like you more than this, I don't want to lose my best friend, but I also like you more than this. There's that line that you have to.
But as friends, just be freaking honest. If nothing else, like best friends should be honest. You should be able to say what you need to say. And there should be a level of, I kind of saw it coming too, because if you're really that close, don't you get it? Don't you know? Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think that, you can surprise people. I
agree.
I've been in something where I knew that this person liked me for a long, 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 long time. And I kept keeping her at bay because I didn't want to ruin something. But I always knew that it was kind of there. Like there was always something there. So you ruined the opportunity
instead?
Well, I hope not. But for a long time, yes, I did. Only because I was like, this is her. It's like, I don't want to ruin that. So for me, you have to be careful. And I shouldn't be, because my whole point in life right now is to live like you're living. Mm-hmm. So, but sometimes that's easier said than done.
Right. There's no guarantees in any relationship, whether it be a parent-child relationship or a mother. How do I say that? Like a father, a husband, wife. There you go. There's a friend. There's no.
There's no guarantee. There's no guarantee with the person you meet at the bar.
Exactly. But if you don't take the chance, it's just missed opportunity. And then you always live with, I wonder what if. What if things, though, that doesn't seem fun to me at all. Like I'll switch.
No, I'll tell you. I'll take they're regret
not any day over.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you that I kind of live that with a girl that we both know. Mm-hmm. I didn't see her for 20 years. Mm-hmm. And then I saw her, and that kind of closed a door for me. It was good. It was more like, I'm glad I got to see you 20 years later. So at least I could tell you everything I needed to tell you, or, whatever that ended up being for us, which I think was always good, because I thought I missed out on something, and it was nice to kind of see her and close that door. Because I got to see basically where she was in life and blah, blah, blah. And I think that did help. But what ifs are not good. What ifs they'll eat you alive. So And nobody wants to have that shit. No one wants to be eaten alive with, what's going on in life? What's there? It's like, nah, because that's the kind of shit that at night you don't sleep, or you wake up,
or you take to another relationship because you didn't give it the opportunity that you needed to give it.
Yeah.
So you always take it around to the next one, to the next one, to the next one, instead of just dealing with what you're feeling. Yeah.
Because you're chasing someone that you're trying to find that in someone else, and it's never going to be there. Mm-hmm. And that's the rough part. So, but I think that, falling for a friend will always be I'll date myself, but it's a floor full of Legos that you got to walk through barefooted. You know what I mean?
It doesn't need to be that bad.
But I think there's because to me, it's just more like that it can be painful to get there, but maybe it's worth it after you get past it. More like, to me, everything's worth trying. Everything is worth trying because,
and nothing is written in stone yet. Like we're still on this earth. We're still trucking away. We're still making our own choices. We're still doing our own things. Life has a weird way of taking you where you need to go. You don't have to even worry about it. You're going to get wherever it is you need to be at any given time, whether you do it kicking and screaming or you just enjoy the ride and have a little faith. Like either way, you're going to get where you want to be. I personally like to kick and scream. That's just the way I do things. But nonetheless, we still get where we need to be. And I'd say the majority of the time it wasn't where I thought I was supposed to be.
Yeah. I'm one that doesn't kick and scream, but I like to knock things over and kick things around and fall on my face a few times and then get back up and jog a few more feet and trip over something else and then tell somebody, hey, I'm still here, and then fall on my face and fuck something up again and then jump back up and keep walking. But I do believe that fate is fate, and I think that you can control your fate. Destiny is something earned. I think that if you don't take that chance, you'll never have that destiny. So kind of a weird way of looking at things, but I think that that's definitely where life is when it comes to falling for a friend and taking something to the next level. You have to get to a point where, you have to sit and kind of remember sometimes like where you met and where it took you. And over that long period of time, what kept bringing you back to that same person? And why is it that you ended up meeting again 30 years later after you're married and have kids and do this or do that? It's one of those things where you just kind of have to sit back for a second and go, hey, what the fuck, man? Maybe it was meant to be.
Doesn't that go back to when you love somebody, you never completely quit loving them? Like there's something that always stays in you. We talked about that in another show.
we did.
And I was like, yeah, there's always a piece of somebody that I love that sticks with me. It never completely goes away. Mm-hmm. I may be able to separate from it and move on. I may be able to go, wow, I'm glad I don't have to do that shit again. I'm glad I'm only stuck with this piece left. But at the same time, like, it doesn't go away. In order for love to be lost, there has to be just a huge demolition of it, huge. Yeah. And
I think it has to be
killed, like devastated. And even still, when you talk to somebody 10 years after the devastation, they're like, well, I wish this could have been different, or, we could have done that more, or, whatever. So I don't know. I just say, have faith and what's going to be is going to be. And everybody's worth being loved, and everybody's lovable in their own ways. And we just need to remember that and not be so hard on ourselves when we are single, and enjoy it, because it's a lot of fun too. I
think, we said, whatever show that was, I don't even remember now, but I think with people that you love, that everyone has a room in your head. Mm-hmm. Everyone we ever meet has a small room in your head. You just have to remember to lock that door and realize that that's a memory for you to keep when you need it, but it shouldn't take you down. Right?
None of them should take you down.
That's why we all dream about people from our past that you might not have thought about in 20 years. And next thing you know, you wake up and you're like, I had a fucking dream about you. And people are like, well, why? It's like, I don't know why.
Souls are put on this earth to be together, though. There's reasons why we're all here together, and it's to learn together and to grow together and to have these experiences with each other. So if you look at it from that standpoint, the soul, you guys could go wherever you want to on this earth, but at the end of all of this, there's still an attachment. There's still something we're supposed to be learning, growing, and helping each other through. So you got to keep it in perspective.
I guess that's where soulmates comes from.
And when it's a soulmate, you're going to love them and let them leave you 100 times if that's what they want. Because truly to love somebody and have them be unconditionally loved, you have to love them enough that they could love somewhere else, if that's the case.
That's very true. No, I agree with that. Well, here we go. Look where we're at.
Crap, it's already been like 41 minutes.
I know. We're doing pretty well.
Time goes by so quickly.
And on time. We've been really good about that lately.
I like that.
Like those early shows, boy, they just ran amok.
Yeah.
And now look at us all professional, like.
Well, I wouldn't say all professional. I think you're getting there. I have a ways to go, but we're getting better, of course.
No, I definitely think we're getting better. And just imagine, I think by the time this show comes out, we'll be at like 41 shows, 40, something like that.
Really?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, like this will either be 40 or 41. I'm not sure yet. But yeah, I think that's
so crazy.
We're
would have
doing
thought
great.
When we were sitting at Denny's having breakfast that first of all, we were going to do a podcast. Second of all, get to the point where we're at 40, 41 episodes and doing as well as we're doing. You know, I was checking, we're still at 36 states. We're in 16 countries. We're on 6 of the 7 continents and we're doing all right. We're doing pretty good.
It's pretty crazy that you can say we're worldwide.
We are worldwide.
Even for me to this day, I look at our analytics and I look at all these little countries and it's like, and do you know who's just popping off lately?
Who?
The United Kingdom.
Really?
They're up to 20 downloads. And for the longest time, they were like, I want to say at like 6 or 7. Yeah. Okay. Well, they were 1 for a long time and then they kind of jumped up. Now they're at 20. It's like they've passed Australia. I mean, they're literally, they're the 3rd highest downloads behind India and the United States. So it's pretty amazing. So whoever's listening in the United Kingdom, feel free to go to our Facebook and leave a message. Yes, thank you. But feel free to go to our socials and say you're from England. And it'd be awesome because I'd love to have someone interviewed with us from that lovely continent. Because I love English accents. So yes, it would just be awesome to have somebody on here. So, but then I could never do an accent ever again because I'd embarrass myself having to do it in front of somebody who's actually from
I don't think that's a problem. If you get embarrassed, you would still do it.
Yeah, that's probably true. And then we can make them do an American accent because that's always fun. Right? It's always fun to hear someone from England do an American accent. If they're trying to make fun of it, it's the greatest thing in the world. Because for some reason, people from other countries think that everyone sound like California surfers.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Everyone that I've seen that I know who is from there and I go, hey, dude, do an American accent. They're like, yeah, bro. It's like everyone's not like that. But unfortunately, where we live.
Last time I said bro.
Yeah, I can. It was probably today at work. Why don't you give them the numbers and where to listen to us?
The numbers.
I'm just joking. That was just me fucking with you.
So you could find us on Spotify, Apple, Google Podcast, Amazon Music, Outcast, Player FM, Facebook, iHeartRadio, or wherever you listen to your iPod or your podcast.
Yeah, or your iPod.
On your
one
iPods,
of the two.
You could check out our Facebook page at DGTTwisted, or you could get us at Twitter or Instagram at DGTT. We're doing really good, guys. So keep listening, and thank you so much for being a part of our little world here. And if you would like to get in contact with us, please do so. We would love to hear any feedback that you have.
Correct. Also, always check the show notes because it has our email address in there as well. Also, we're on YouTube-ish. We'll be putting teasers on YouTube. That's what our goal is to have people go there, kind of get a teaser the week before the show comes out. So you'll see a little video of us doing the show. So you can go to all those cool places that Tina just said and listen to our podcast while you're driving around town or driving to the next state you're going to.
Yeah, I started.
Or country.
I started listening to the podcast, and there's shows that I really like. There's shows that I really like, and then there's others I'm like, it's all right. But I think as we've gone along, we've gotten way better because those initial shows were so rough. And again, last week when we did the podcast, I blew the introduction just because there was a lot going on and I just froze. But I still think they're fun. They're fun. They're fun to listen to. And
look, if you're looking at us from the standpoint of a podcast, we're still an infant. Like we are. We're only 40 in. Like we got a lot more in the tank, and there's always going to be fun things to talk about. Mm-hmm. So. And more guests. I think I like when we can have somebody on here and kind of bounce who we are off of them. So again, we'd love to have anyone on. If we have a Facebook, we have an Instagram, we have a Twitter, we have a YouTube, leave a message. If you want to come on here and talk shit with us, we'll be more than welcome to talk shit back.
Absolutely.
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 And on that, Tina, this is an opinion show, so don't get it twisted. Please feel free to enjoy our show. And if you don't like it, keep listening because we'll probably piss you off some more.
Amen.
But until next week, every Wednesday, there'll be a new episode out. For my co-host, Tina, who's the bestest, I am Rob, and we'll see you, or you'll hear us in a week.
Next week.
Bye, Teeners.
See ya.